Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy Tuesday today. So today was a much better day for us in the markets. Bitcoin was up, miners were up as well. We had some news on Bitfarms that came out, pumping Bitfarms stock up, which is nice. We also had Cipher rumors of Meta getting in bed with them possibly. We'll talk about that, what that all entails. We'll take a look at obviously what the miners did, Bitcoin did. We have some bullish news on Bitcoin as well. And then we'll get into Q&A. So it should be pretty short and sweet here. As always, you guys know the drill though. It is not financial advice. For entertainment only, do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into what's going on here with the markets today as far as Bitcoin. Ethereum was actually down today, surprisingly. But Bitcoin was up today nicely. It was up approximately 2.21%, closed at 120,026 cents. So we are up, well, we're down now in the new day. We're down to 119,104. Still isn't too bad, but the miners were positive today. We had some nice gains in these guys as well. Ethereum was actually down today a little bit. Finally having a little bit of pullback here today. It was down just a little bit, 0.4%. After having a nice rally here since basically July 25th or so. So we've had, July 13th. And 25 is a year. July 13th, we've had a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days of going straight up basically. Finally had a little pullback. It got down to a low today of 3,748, and we closed at approximately, the low was 3,617. The close was at 3,748. All right, miners-wise, they had a good day. Bitfarms had a really good day. Even yesterday had a really good day as well. But today kind of finished that off a little bit. It was up 16.81%. It got to a high of $1.34, closed at $1.32. Really good day. And finally, you know, they're doing something about the stock price there. I think the news that came out with them buying shares back is great. We'll talk about that in a second, in a little bit when we get to the news section of the stream. But that was nice to see. BitDeer was up 6.55% today as well. Kang was up just a little bit, 2.98%. Cipher was up nicely as well today, 11.4%. It got to a high of $7.10, closed at $6.94. There's rumors of Meta possibly signing a deal with them for the megawatts that they have there available. So we'll see if that happens. We'll talk about it also in a little bit. Cleanspark was up just a little bit today, 3.63%. CORZ is up also just a little bit, 1.58%. Hive was up nicely today, 10.13%. So it kind of went back to where it was yesterday at the high. It actually surpassed a little bit here. It got to a high of 251 here. It closed at 250, so that one's having a pretty good day. It's getting some love as well, which is nice to see. HUT 8 was up just a little bit, 0.28 after being down on the day, so it finished up in the green, which was nice. Cipher back up in the green, 2.42% as well. So that one's actually pumping a little bit here in the after hours. I think it's pumping at, last time I checked, it was at least a little bit, like 2% up again. Mara was up 5.58%, nicely on that one. Riot was up just a little bit, 1.78%. Wolf was up 5.41%. After coming close to the 200 simple day moving average on the daily there, bouncing off of that, going back up. MicroStrategy was up just a wee teeny bit, 0.03%. Galaxy was up 5.35%. Coin was actually down 2.2%. Let's see here. MetaPlanet was up 7.42%. This one was the blockchain group was down 5.54%. Small miners, for the most part, were actually down, except for a couple. Any was up 2.69. Argo was down 2.9. DigiPower was now down 1.92%. DMG was down 1.27%. Mawson was down 9.7% on that one. Canon was up just a little bit here, 1.35%, after having a nice rally here in the past week, but coming back down this week and a little bit last week. The ETFs had a nice day for the most part. BKCH was up 2.4%. WGMI was up 4%. And that's mainly because they probably own a lot of Cipher and IREN in there, along with probably own a little bit of Bitfarms, I think, in there as well. Some of the Ethereum holding companies had a mixed day today. BTBT was down 1.51% here. It peaked at $4.49. It's down to $3.27 right now. BTCS was up just a little bit, 1.94. BMNR was up 1.92. That one's definitely trading flat right now over the last probably week and a half or so. Game was down another 5.48%. That one has been definitely a roller coaster ride here recently in the last 2 weeks. I mean, it's gone huge up, came back down, tried to go back up to those highs and failed, came back down. It's coming back down some more. SBET was up just nicely today, up 8.54%. This one, same thing, got way overbought here, came back down, corrected, and is trying to get back up as well. We'll see how these Ethereum treasury companies do going forward. and can they regain some of the spotlight here a little bit? We'll see. I'm still skeptical on Ethereum. Some people are saying it's going to get to like $10,000 in the next year or something like that. I'm like, I don't know. I'm still skeptical on it. I think a lot of people are talking about the altcoin rally right now that's happening. Yes, we're seeing the Bitcoin dominance come down a little bit here, but we've seen that before, and Bitcoin has rallied even further after that. So you can see the Bitcoin dominance here was up a little bit today on that 1.58%. It's down a little bit here. So maybe this is where we bottom out and we have the rotation happening again from altcoins into Bitcoin again. We shall see. And then Griffin, if you guys are interested in Griffin, as you know, is going to be merging with American BTC or America BTC, which is going to be spun out from Hut 8. That one was up just a little bit. We need more details on this one as far as what the merge is going to be like, and the new stock, American BTC, is going to be like. How many shares are going to be out there, right? So, yeah, Griffin's only getting like 2% of the. I think it's like 2% of the valuation of the company there when they merge. All right, so that's it on those. Let's take a look at the miners here after hours really quick. BitDeer's up a little bit, 1.57% it looks like. Bitfarms is actually down 3%. Some profit taken there possibly. Kango is actually flat. Cipher is up 2.74%, so it's at $7.13 now. Cleanspark is actually down just a little bit, 0.16%. CORZ is up just a little bit, 0.89%. Hive is up 2.8% in the after hours, so it's at $2.57. Hut 8 is down 0.33%. We got IREN being up another 2.21%. It's at $19 right now. And then we got Mara. Mara's down 0.4%. Riot is up just a little bit, 0.14%. And TerraWolf right now is up 0.19% as it is. All right. Bitcoin for the month of July here is up 11.48%, so not too bad. We got about 9 more days to go or so, roughly. In the month, it's in line with what we have seen in the past in 2021, 2017 as well, right? 17%, 18% respectively. So we're still right in that range. A little bit lower, but obviously the price goes up higher, right? We're seeing lower percentage gains, but we're seeing more price appreciation, which is still good. So we're doing good there. ETF inflows. It looks like we had a negative inflow yesterday. Surprisingly, their far side investors are reporting $0 bought in from IBIT, which I find kind of interesting that is actually at zero. So I wonder if they didn't report it or they're missing it or something like that. This seems off to me. But maybe that is the case here. Because historically, IBIT has been buying regardless, whether it's a small amount, large amount, they've been buying here. So a little surprised by that. For yesterday, today, obviously we're down 68 million here so far, and we'll see what IBIT comes in at that point. Some bullish news stories that we do have here on Bitcoin here. This is just in. 411 billion PNC Bank partners with Coinbase to serve clients Bitcoin and crypto services. So they're going to be possibly, you're going to be, well, if you have a PNC Bank account or something like that, you might be able to see also your Bitcoin holdings in there or your other crypto holdings in there as well. You'll have basically one shop shopping at that point for all your crypto needs. That's awesome. That's obviously going to drive adoption as well for Bitcoin and others. And then just in as well, public company Volcan Inc. just raised $500 million to buy more Bitcoin. Again, more and more companies are buying Bitcoin or raising more Bitcoin, raising more cash to buy even more Bitcoin. We are going to see that squeeze on Bitcoin, especially as we have more and more of these companies buying it up. There's just so much supply out there, right? Right now, what we're seeing is basically the people that got into Bitcoin when Bitcoin price was much lower, sub 1,000, even sub 10,000 mark, depending how many they bought, they're nicely in profits right now. These are the people that we're probably seeing that are selling right now. But once those go away here, eventually the hodlers that believe in Bitcoin going up even higher, they're going to hold on to it, and that's going to result in price going up as well because there's just a supply shock going to be happening here. Next, we got South Korea's ruling party to accelerate Bitcoin and crypto legislation following the Genius Act. So America is setting the standard here for the world as far as how to proceed going forward with all of this adoption that we're seeing here. And we're going to see country after country, embrace it, do the same thing or similar things as well to what the United States is doing, which is obviously going to drive adoption for Bitcoin. And as more people get on Bitcoin, the more people are going to drive the price up as well. So I'm loving that. And let's get into the news stories that we do have here. The first one obviously is on Bitfarms here. So they announced corporate share buyback program. So today they announced that the board of directors has approved effective immediately the commencement of a corporate share buyback program. This isn't great. They should have probably announced this when the stock was like at 60 cents or something like that, but nonetheless, they're doing it now. The good thing is, one, Riot is selling at a pretty good pace. Their shares that they have of Bitfarms, they're now under 10% of ownership there, which is nice. So if they can continue to do that, they're going to be buying back shares as well through the next year, possibly. They didn't state exactly when they're going to do it, but within the next year, they have the optionality to buy back shares. So that's good. So under the program, the company is authorized to purchase up to 49,943,031 of its common shares out of the 557,548,857,000 common shares outstanding as of July 14th, representing up to 10% of the company's public float of 499 million common shares during the period starting on July 28th, 2025 and ending on July 27th, 2026. So basically a year, right, for them to do that. I think this is great, but we'll see how many shares they actually buy back, right? It's the company doesn't have, in my opinion, right now at least, a lot of cash that's coming. Well, they have a lot of cash coming, but they're also spending a lot of cash as well. So the cash that they do have, it's going to be tough for them, I think, to buy back all these shares. But it's nice that they are going to at least try to do that. They can do that with maybe if they get a deal for HPCI or something like that, they can do some of that cash or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing and spitballing here ideas of what they could possibly do. But I like the fact, nonetheless, here. This is a quote from CEO Ben Gagnon. We believe that Bitfarms shares are currently undervalued because of our Bitcoin business is underappreciated by the market, with little to no value being associated with our HPC potential. I would agree with that. They're like 19 exahash right now. They're generating a nice revenue on that, especially the Bitcoin price being at these levels right now. And the little to no value being associated with their HPC, I think that's understandable. I think because they just got into it this year, basically, right after buying Stronghold sites out. They still have to prove themselves, I think, to the market that they can do something in HPCI. Yes, they have hired on people that have HPCI experience, which is nice. But they need to, whether it's going to be a test site or something like that, they need to prove basically to possible suitors for those sites that they can do this and they can build it out, or they're going to need, obviously, some help from somebody that has the experience there. All right, let's see. This program demonstrates our confidence in Bitfarms' business, our management team, and most importantly, our high-performance computing data center growth strategy. We strongly believe our unique and highly desirable energy portfolio in Pennsylvania will drive long-term sustainable growth that is financeable and enables management to leverage its balance sheet strength to drive shareholder value with this buyback program, while simultaneously pursuing a growth opportunities in HPCI to best capitalize on our substantial U.S. energy pipeline. And they do have a nice pipeline there as well. So there is a lot of potential with their facilities in Pennsylvania, and that's why I'm still holding onto the stock there for that potential there. Let's see, the timing, price, and volume of repurchases will depend on a variety of factors, including corporate liquidity requirements and priorities, as well as general market conditions, the share price, regulatory requirements, and limitations, and other factors, right? So that's kind of what I said, right? If they have the cash to do it, they'll do it. If they don't have the cash, they won't do it, but hopefully they'll at least buy some amount of it. I'm not saying that if they buy back the whole 10%, that would be nice, but if they buy back 3-5% of the shares there, that'd be good. And then also, I think this kind of maybe squashes the fact of them doing a reverse split, right? They have that optionality as well. I don't think they need to do a reverse split. They've been around for a long time, since like 2017, 2018, and they've been through these cycles before. And these guys have been obviously growing, but they're also growing through dilution, just like every other company here in the space, whether it's Bitcoin mining or even Bitcoin miners that are getting into HPCI. They all dilute through the ATMs and other ways as well. And since they've been around for the longest, that's why the number of shares is pretty high, right? It's not like enormously higher than everybody else. I think everybody else is around like 300 some odd million, 200 some odd million, somewhere around there. Some are even high 300 millions. So they're not too far off from those guys. But those guys came in also a little bit later, like 2020, 2021 as well. So they haven't had the time or the need to dilute as much as Bitfarms has here, okay? But nonetheless, I love seeing that they are being bullish on their company and buying back shares opportunistically as time progresses here throughout this year. And then hopefully we get right off our backs as well on them. Eventually, maybe I'm guessing maybe by September, they might be out completely with their selling of Bitfarms shares there. So that would be good also. Because right now we have been seeing a lot of, obviously, sell pressure on the stock, keeping it down because of that. But the stock is still done pretty good here, all things considered. It's gone back up to $1. We don't have that fear of the NASDAQ delisting right now, at least for quite a while, I would think. So that's all good news there, okay? All right, so that's it on that one. Let's talk about Cipher here. So there's been a lot of communication on X, on Twit, or X, what is it, the other one that's out there, Stock Twits and Reddit, as far as speculating on a potential rumor with Cipher getting a deal from Meta, right, for the megawatts that they have here. And this is from across the markets. They're talking about it here. So whispers of Meta partnership sends Cipher mining soaring. Is Cipher the next big play? Possibly, right? If they get a deal with Meta, that would be huge. I mean, we know that Meta is spending a lot of cash. I've heard stories of them actually for hiring on bonuses to get these AI experts on. They're like giving them like $100 to $200 million worth of, I don't know if it's stock options or just pay out bonuses in cash. It is just crazy on how they're trying to compete in this space. They are a little bit behind here, I think, compared to OpenAI, Google, Gemini, right? XAI as well. So they're trying to keep catch up basically as fast as they can, and they got the cash to do it. They got the cash to spend as well. So if they can get a deal with Cipher, that's going to be huge. Obviously, we've been talking about Cipher for a long time. I've been covering them probably for now 2-3 years. Whenever they went public, there were some things that we weren't happy about early on, right? With who was it? Bitfury having a large portion of the shares there, like 75% of the shares owning those. And then obviously fears of them selling the shares were quite large as well. So that got all figured out about a year and a half ago. I think that got all figured out at that point, which was good. The stock was able to breathe on that. And then them just continuing to buy sites here all over the United States, mostly in like the Texas area and southern area, I believe it is. But they've been buying up sites for whether it's going to be for Bitcoin mining or HPCI purposes. They're smaller sites, like 300 to 500 megawatt sites that could be expanded out further, I believe. But they do have a lot of those. And they've been just executing pretty well here. We talked about it last year that a lot of their growth is going to be happening here this second half of the year, which we are seeing right now with their hash rate growing as well. And we're also seeing the potential there for HPCI. So now we got these rumors happening here. We have pretty prominent people on X that we probably all follow. I'm going to paraphrase their tweet here. They stated that they wouldn't be surprised if I'm paraphrasing. They wouldn't be surprised if there's an announcement either at the close or at the beginning of tomorrow for a Meta deal with Cipher. We'll see if that happens on that one, but that would be great, obviously, for those of you guys that do own it. I do not own this stock because I'm out of capital, but I own a lot of, obviously, as you guys know, Cleanspark and IREN. IREN has done very well for me here as well, so I'm happy with that. I still own about 8,000 shares of Bitfarms, so I'm happy there, and I own a little bit of Mawson as it is right now on that. So those of you that got into it, great. My dad got into it, what was it, about a week to 2 weeks ago. He sold a large portion of his CORZ shares and bought into Cipher and IREN. When we were talking about it, I'm like, when I was talking with my dad about it, I'm like, you got 3 possibilities to go with. I think you got Cleanspark, IREN, and Cipher. Cipher and IREN have HPCI potential. He's bullish on HPCI potential, so we're like, okay, let's go into Cipher and IREN at that point. And he is happy with his buys there right now as it is, so that's working out pretty good. All right, but getting back into this news here. So retail investors are rushing into Cipher, a company in the cryptocurrency and high-performance computing sector, after rumors emerged of a potential partnership with Meta Platforms. The buzz began early this morning on forums like StockTwits, Reddit, X as well, where speculative chatter suggested Meta could be eyeing Cipher's infrastructure to support AI Metaverse-related computational needs. And like I said, Meta needs to catch up, and this is kind of maybe a way for them to catch up, a little bit at least. Retail segment is being tracked by platforms like Unusual Whales and Fintel, showing a spike in call option volume for Cipher expiring this week and next. Meanwhile, Reddit threads are flooded with price predictions ranging from $6 to over $15 per share, up from its recent average around $4.65. Cipher shares closed the previous trading session up nearly 20%, adding fuel to an already raging fire. I agree with that there, right? Could we see them at about $15? Eventually, I think it's possible, but I think right now, if they do get a deal with Meta, depending on the type of deal that they get, I could see them pumping to right around $10 relatively quickly here. So that's definitely going to be really, really good for them, if not even higher there. Let's see. There's not much else on it. Obviously, Meta, as you know, is trying really, really hard to gain a foothold in this space, and they're trying to build out as fast as possible. We talked about also one of their tents that they put up to house these GPUs in, so they can build those out a lot faster than the traditional data centers that you were used to, where they're concrete and things like that. So they're innovating in that way and trying to get into this market as fast as possible. Kind of similar to what XAI is doing, right? I mean, XAI with their Memphis campus, oh my gosh, they built that out so quickly and got things, installed so fast that even the CEO of NVIDIA was impressed, right? How fast they were able to do that. So yeah, I mean, you got to move fast in this space in order to make changes here. So that's awesome to see on that one. All right. So that is it. That's all I got for you guys here. Let's get into Q&A as always. And we'll get through that and talk about anything else you guys want. So I see there's quite a few questions popping up here as well. So let's get into it here and we'll call it a day. All right, so here's Q&A. As always, if you guys could preface those with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. And I'm going to scroll my way up and work my way down as always, so bear with me. I will get through all your guys' questions here. It just might take me a little while, but I will get through those. Let's see, what do we got here? All right, talked about those things. All right, let's see, Financial Ernie is in the house. Have you been watching the miner wallets this month? Marpool looking weaker this month. Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. It looks like maybe, there's some rumors that Cleanspark might actually mine more Bitcoin. Probably IREN too. We'll probably mine more Bitcoin than Mara there. But Mara still has a couple more days to go. We'll see how they remedy those things. All right, JR's got a question here. Here we go. What's your thoughts on Bitfarms reversal? So much existing buyers in at average $2 plus. Will that always be a ceiling? What do you think will cause sentiment change apart from BTC at 140,000, basically? I think one is getting Riot off their back, which they're close to being done with that. Riot's less than 10% ownership now in Bitfarms, which is good. I also think Bitcoin going up is going to help. And then them possibly buying some shares back. That will also help. The other catalyst that we could see is a deal for their sites in Pennsylvania for some kind of HPCI data center. Right? They have beautiful renderings of what the site could look like for when it's fully built out. So they have a lot of things going for them right now. I think they've turned the ship in the right direction. We'll see how they do going forward. All right. Simon says, Mara's mining is inconsistent and costs are high. Yes, they are. That's the thing about Mara's. That's why I was never able to get into a lot of capital put into them, is because there are inconsistencies in mining, right? They have one great month where they're up huge on mining, and then for whatever reason, the next couple months they're down. Just weird as heck, and I can't understand it and I can't explain it. So I've always said I need a company that has great operational uptime, and that's why I got into Bitfarms, IREN, Cleanspark as well. So we'll see. We'll see how they do going forward. Ernie says, Hive bouncing back this week after down 3% last week. Yeah. All right. See, Ryan says, damn, big day. Yeah, it might be an even bigger day tomorrow if we do get an announcement from Meta or something like that. JR, second question here. Deep chats with AI regarding most problem outcome for BTC by the end of the year. The model predicts a most probable case of 130 to 140 by December. How does this compare with your own prediction? I'm saying 150 to 200,000, somewhere around there. 130 to 140 seems low for what we're seeing as far as adoption is happening. You guys see this daily. There's always something going on. Some company buying more Bitcoin, some company starting to add Bitcoin, right? You're seeing all of that. And yet we're only basically the supply each day is 450 Bitcoin. And that's if the miners sell everything, right? The miners, for the most part, yes, they're selling a large portion of it, but there's also companies like Mara that hodl everything. You got some companies hodling a little bit more, but more or less, not all that is being sold. So I would say maybe from what I'm seeing here, somewhere around between 75 to 80% of that is being sold, somewhere around there, maybe even less than that per day. It's going to have to drive the price up. Where are all those Bitcoin going to be bought up at? So I think it's going to go up higher. Now, we've got a question here. Given that the Bitfarms buyback will occur over the course of a year time span, do you think we won't have to worry of any dilution occurring in that same period? I think there's going to be dilution, honestly. There's just no, unless they get a deal for an HPCI data center in Pennsylvania and they get some backing from whoever's going to be fronting that or whoever the customer might be, right? So is, I don't think, any way that they can do it without some dilution. They do have a loan for like $300 million. They got $50 million advancement on it to work towards their HPCI potential with the sites that they have in Pennsylvania. But they need to prove themselves on that in order to get more out of that capital. So they do have a loan potentially that could maybe that might mean we have less dilution. Maybe. All right. Let's see, Neville says it would seem odd for Bitfarms to dilute and also conduct a buyback at the same time. Now, I mean, they can do both. They can buy back some shares and dilute as well, right? Depending when they buy, when they dilute too. Ernie's got a question here. What's your thoughts on Bitfarms open ATM in the parallel with the share buyback? Should they close the ATM to give investors confidence? That would definitely give investors confidence, but I don't think they can, right? We'll look at the numbers that they report for the Q2 results and see how their cash flow is right now, with them being at 19 exahash. They hired on some more people as well, so that's going to be costing some stuff there. But cash flow, we want to look at cash flow. How's the cash flow looking right there? Yeah, so we'll see. Let's see. FireXReek, didn't Hut 8 do a buyback and dilution back in December? That was a buyback through, they did the convertible notes, right? The convertible notes, part of that was a buyback in shares in there. That was why. John Courage, thank you so much for the thumbs up. Let's see here. Neville says, I heard it's not that infrequent, but it happens for special reasons. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, what are you guys talking about there? Bang Bang OW, dilution and buyback at the same time is actually a very smart thing for companies to do, in my opinion. It allows them to have more control over their company's share price. You can squeeze the shorts. Okay, then that might be another reason for it. Okay, let's see. Dad's Market Stats says, I'm using margin to sell Bitfarm puts, made 68, benefiting from 120 or 1.2 thousand shares I don't own yet. Okay, very nice. Beast has got a question here, one of two. Speaking of core scientific and CoreWeave, why are many talking about selling their portion of Bitcoin mining? Is it compatible with HPCI, or is there something we don't understand? Okay, so we're talking about CoreWeave selling that portion of the business outright, right? The facilities that are there. Not all facilities are made the same, right? You might have a facility that has only a certain amount of space around it, right? You have a facility, the mining portion of it, and you don't have room to expand beyond that for backup generators, right? All other things that you might need in there. So you may just be landlocked where you can't do anything with it, so you can't really use that site. The other reason might be you're far away from a metropolitan area possibly, right? You don't have also redundancies in like fiber, right? You want at least 2 fiber connections at that point. So that's another reason. Approvals from the cities as well, right? You might not be able to get those for whatever reason. So there's other things that go into it as far as why. But CoreWeave has stated that they do not want to be in Bitcoin mining. They're going to evaluate the sites that they are getting from Core Scientific. And if any of those make sense for conversion over into HPCI, they'll keep those. But the other ones, they're going to sell out. And I'm thinking some suitors for that would be Cleanspark and Mara potentially going forward. Kaz is asking a question. Bitfarms $5 when? Maybe sometime next year. Or if they get a deal for HPCI, it could pop really quickly too. Neville, Bitfarms with a share buyback, Riot will be done selling by August, September, I think, and BTC hasn't went into overdrive yet. It's time to put these conservative price targets to rest. Bitfarms will go above $3. I think that is possible, right? If you get Riot off their back, you buy back some shares as well. I think that will maybe be the catalyst. Plus, to get an HPCI deal, that will go up. And Neville says not financial advice. Yeah, I mean, this whole show is not financial advice. We just talk about it. We give our thoughts and inputs there. Let's see. Financial Journey says month to date mining 721, Cleanspark 473.22 on average. I don't have IREN's wallet address to track. Okay. Let's see. Dad's Market Stats has a question here. If there is a bear cycle, would it be a good idea to sell BTC for miners with HPCI? Oh man, don't know how they're going to react to a bear cycle if we get another one, right? I don't think that we will. I think we might have a correction, 20-30% Bitcoin, and then continue going up. But we saw Bitcoin coming down here in this past year from January through April. miners followed suit. Whether they had HPCI or not, they all followed suit as well. So I don't know if that's going to be something that is going to be able to save them potentially, right? I don't know. I just don't know on that one. All right. All right, Gary's got a question here. Seb, Bitfarms now has a 300 million ATM open at the same time as they have a 100 million buyback program. It's not 100 million. What is it, like 49 million or something like that? 60 some whatever million that is. Program taking place. How does this exactly work or make sense? You can do both, right? You can buy back your shares opportunistically, and you can sell into the strength of the stock as well. So that works both ways. B-side has a question here. Why am I number 3 fan following you since 2023? I think the way that I've noticed this right now is when you, I think it's when you come in. If you come in like number 3 to post a comment, yeah, I mean, Sour Melon's coming up number 1 for me. Manu's coming up as number 2, and John Kurt, you're coming up as number 1 too. Well, I see you as coming up number 1. So I don't know if it's based on the comments or something like that. That could be it. Franchoni's got a question. Shouldn't Bitfarms buy more efficient miners to improve margins? If they were profitable, then buying back would make sense. I mean, the miners that they do have are pretty good. They're right around now 20 joules per terahash, I think, on average overall. So they have gotten newer miners. They're not as low as like Cleanspark or IREN is. But they're pretty good right now for the time period, I think, right? You want to use those miners for as long as you can while it's still profitable. And hopefully with Bitcoin going into an extended cycle, they'll make them, longer profitable where you can get your money back for a longer period of time. And as Bitcoin price goes up, that should help out. Financial Earnings got another question here. Any thoughts on surprise HPCI customers on any of the miners' earnings releases? Would be crazy to see positive EPSs and, well, yeah, that would be awesome. But I think if they're going to get any kind of deals or anything like that, I think they would have announced them before then. They wouldn't wait for the quarterly results. Why wait? Put the great news out there. Stocks in a rip like crazy at that point. So I'm not expecting any deals to be mentioned. There might be some small talk on, yes, we're fielding conversations with potential customers, so forth, so on, right? But we won't have any details on that. Sadie, as always, thank you so much. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button if you guys are nice enough to do that. All right, Maxim. Last time Cipher Insiders sold was in the middle of December. Mark at the top. Just sold again. Thoughts? I mean, if they get a deal, the stock's going up higher, right? I don't think it's going to be the top there. Morton's got a question. In your opinion, which miners satisfies these criteria? Top tier in mining production, efficiency and cost to mine, exahash growth, and no planned dilution. Well, at that point, I mean, with no dilution, you're looking at Cleanspark as the only one, right? Their cost to mine is only second to IREN. Right now, IREN obviously is still possibly going to be diluting there, and they're done growing for Bitcoin production, but they're trying to get HPCI. So I would say those two are like neck and neck there when you look at them. Roger's got a question here. When shorts covering, as price goes up on Bitcoin, so will the shorts start to get squeezed on the miners there as well? All right. Aaron's got a question here. Seb, question. In your personal opinion, do you think Bitfarms will land an HPCI deal this year? I mean, Ben has talked about that the potential for HPCI build out is like 2026, 2027 potentially. So it could possibly happen, something like that, where they at least land somebody. But we only have basically 5 months to go now in the year. There's a lot of talk about the Pennsylvania area. We got the 60, 70 billion being invested in that state right now for data centers, for HPCI. So could they land something? I think the chances have increased a little bit since that came out, but we'll see. All right, JD's got a question here. Thoughts on holding the core warrants tranches? My dad's doing the same thing. We're going to see how those play out. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to play out, to be honest with you. But he sold the regular shares that he had in it, and he's holding on to the tranches and still some shares as well. So we're waiting to see how that gets played out when they do get bought out by CoreWeave. All right. Ernie says, I think we'll see more IntelliFlex units being used in HPCI. That's a new one. I have not heard that. IntelliFlex units. I'll have to look into that one. Not sure what that is. All right. Let's see. Ask Romney has a question. Are Purelays dead? Can Cleanspark hit 20? At least my Bitfarms is only down 35% after the 69% increase last month. Okay, so that's great. Cleanspark, yeah, I think Cleanspark can get to $20 with Bitcoin getting to like 150,000, 180,000, somewhere around there. I think we can get there. Yeah. All right. Let's see, Maxim, thoughts on recent Cipher insider trading? Last time they sold was in December, marking the top. Well, did they sell or was it for, gosh, what was it for? For tax purposes on the shares that they were awarded, right? So they're not the only ones that do that. All the companies do that as well. I'm not sure. I have to look into it what that was. But I think that was for just tax purposes. Let's see, how is Cleanspark's share buyback program going? We haven't heard any details on that. I think they bought back shares when they got the convertible notes, and that was it. I think that was it. KB Dub says, can we see Mara at $80? I mean, Mara's right now, where are they at? I got too many numbers in my head here to look back here, just so I'm not giving you guys wrong numbers, but they're almost at $20 right now as it is. 4x from here. Might be a little tough for them. They would have to get their act together really, really quickly here. Get their costs down on mining, improve their operational uptime as well, and then maybe that would help them out. All right. Okay, Michael asks, does any of the miners have insider buying? The only one that I've seen here was Bitfarms. This was probably going back 4 or 6 months back. Ben Gagnon was buying there. Some other officers were also buying as well. So they were buying there. Andrea's got a question here. What is your average cost on Bitfarms? My average cost is $1.45. So I'm getting close to being break even on that. The portion that I held on to, remember? I sold 2/3 of my position back in November and December of last year based on the timeline to getting to 21 exahash. Obviously, that has changed, but that's kind of why I was selling at that point to do it. But yeah, it's still, if I get back there and get some more gains on it, I'll be happy with that. Marcus says, I don't think there should be dilution in Bitfarms, BTC going up and building data centers. Well, to build data centers, you need capital, right? They do, like I said, they do have $300 million that they can pull on, but they have to reach certain milestones with building that out and getting approvals and things like that. So that's a possibility there. But even beyond that, I mean, building data centers is expensive. It's like crazy expensive. You're talking about somewhere between $8 and $12 million per megawatt. So if they have 200 megawatts, I mean, do the math. They don't have that kind of capital. They're going to have to pull on something. All right. Tom's got a question here. I still don't get it. This is happening. That is happening. Legislation is happening. Everything is looking great. Why is Bitcoin not exploding? It doesn't make sense. Well, that's the market for you, right? The market can remain irrational longer than you can stay solvent, basically. So I've heard that quote before many, many times, and I actually think it's very true. But right now, Bitcoin is in this kind of pattern where it's, I mean, we can look at Bitcoin here, how it's been acting here. It's almost like these little steps that it's taken here. We have a little bit of a cool-off period. We bounce. All right, here, take a look at this chart. This is a Bitcoin chart here. Ever since we kind of bottomed out here in April, right? We had a nice pump. We had a nice step to get on. We had a nice pump, another nice step to go through, to step on. Nice pump, step, and then we actually had a little bit of correction here going into June here a little bit. Kind of sideways trading more or less, some down a little bit, but then we've had a nice up, right? Going flat, up, up. Now we're going flat again, and it'll be, whether it's gonna be a couple of days or a week or two, and then we'll, have a nice pump up again and do that. So it's just market's trying to shake out some people that are in Bitcoin to make them think that Bitcoin is done for, right? That it's not going to want to go up any higher. It's just here as it is, and we're done for, right? So it's trying to scare people into selling their Bitcoin. So they can buy Bitcoin, obviously, Bybit, all the ETFs that are buying it, all the companies that are buying it, they all want to buy it. We're getting low on exchanges, and we're getting low on OTC desks. So that's the only thing, right? It's a completely different cycle than we had in the past. If we look at the cycle that we had here back in even 2021, right? I mean, look at this. We had a huge run up in Bitcoin price, and the corrections that we had at that point were a couple days, not a couple months. Right, I've talked about this before as well. We had a huge run up here, as you can see. Then we had a correction 30%, huge run up, correction 30%, run up, correction, run up, and then we finally had that double top at that point. But going back to 2017, was the same thing. We had a huge run up here, right? This is 2018, yeah, 2017. I mean, you can look at the chart here, and you can see we had a run up correction, run up correction, run up correction, run up, where it was quick. This is totally different, completely different from what we've seen in the past, the last 2 cycles at least. This time around, you have a lot more institutions in play, you have a lot more big money in play. You just have all this stuff happening right now where it's just extending the cycle out longer because, well, that's the way they like to do it, right? They don't want to have it go up 800% in a year. They want to, gradual gains. We'll take 100, 150% gains in a year, or 50% gains in a year, whatever it might be, and they're going to just prolong it so they can keep making money each year, right? So that's the way I see it going forward. We'll see if that's the way it actually plays out. But I could be completely wrong on that. When we do have a crash and we go back down to 80%, I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, it's always a possibility, I guess, with Bitcoin. We get a black swan event or something like that. Somebody lobs a nuclear weapon across to somebody else, and all hell's going to break loose at that point. So you just never know on that part. So never say never, I guess. All right, let's go back here to Q&A. Okay. Marcus says BTC will go up towards end of year. In my opinion, I agree. I'm with you there as well. Let's see. S. Romney asks, when will Bitfarms' first hockey site be live, energized? That I have no idea. Benny says, if Cipher signs a deal with Meta, price target from here, $15. Yeah, I think somewhere between $10 to $15 would be, depending on the deal, right? How many megawatts are they actually getting the deal in? Is it 100 megawatts? Is it 500 megawatts? That'll determine where the price goes. See, Aaron says, let's hear your current power rankings for top miners this year. For me, it's still Cleanspark, IREN, Bitfarms, Cipher, and I mean, Riot could possibly get a deal there as well, right? They're working hard for it as also, so I would say probably those. Mara has to fix their operations. They gotta lower their costs. So that's kind of where I'm going there right now. Let's see. Yeah, you guys are talking about the number 2, number 1, number 3 spots. I think it's based on the comments. If you put in a lot of comments, you rank up higher. All right, Financial Ernie, you're very welcome. Let me see here. Gary's got a question here. Is Bitfarms mining profitably? I thought only IREN mined profitably in Q1. Profitably, if you're looking at, so again, Gary, as you and I have discussed this many times, if you include also depreciation, share-based compensation, then I would say no, right? If you take those 2 things out, then they should be profitable at that point, but it might be close. I don't know. We'll have to take a look at it. I know that they've hired on more people. I don't know what the expenses are going to be for that on a quarterly basis for them. That obviously has gone up here, and they're probably spending quite a bit of money on trying to work something out for HPCI deals, right? Whether it's just trying to get approvals, things like that, that all cost money, unfortunately. So I don't know what their costs are going to be, but they might be close at that point, I think. All right. Maxim says, can't believe I only discovered you recently. Great show, awesome host. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Spread the knowledge if you enjoy the show. I greatly appreciate it. Roger, question. BTC price has been going up ever since. Cleanspark had 40% shorts, but yet shorts are still covering. How come? Well, they're down to like 25% last time I checked. So the shorts are going down on it. Let's see, Bitcoin bottomed out in April of this year, right? Kind of the shorter time frame. And so have the miners, and Cleanspark has outperformed Bitcoin since then. Okay? Yeah. So it's kind of doing a little bit better than Bitcoin is, if you look at the time frame there. Okay, Neville said, to be clear, I see Bitfarms going above $3 by end of year. There is no way BTC goes so high and Bitfarms ekes out just $3. I'm sandbagging a little bit, right? I don't want to say, yeah, it's going to $6, $7, $8, and then something happens and it doesn't, right? I'd be happy if it gets to $3. I think most of you guys would as well, depending when you got into it. If you got into it when it was like $2 or something, yeah, you might not be as happy to take maybe a 40% gain on it. And then somebody that got into it at $1, $1.40, $1.50, whatever it might be, you're going to be a little bit more happier than that. Let's see, Financial Ernie says, also newer miners will create a higher depreciation to lower the EPS but not impact cash flow. Yeah. And then also with the new Genius bill, I think the miners can actually depreciate 100% of their new equipment in the first year. So there's also that. All right, Roger's question. You said Cleanspark can get to $20 when BTC hits 150, 180. Why would miners with more risk with less returns over time? Wait a minute. Why hold miners with more risk with less returns over time? Oh, I'm saying on the low. I'm saying $20 on the lower end, right? I'm not saying it's going to be that's the top. That's where it goes to. I'm saying on the low end, this is kind of where I would think it would go to. It could definitely go a lot higher. They do have a nice hideout position there. They're also obviously, for example, with what they're mining right now at 50 exahash, if Bitcoin price just goes up to, let's just say 200,000, right? They're going to be generating about roughly 1.4 billion in annualized run rate at that point for the revenue. Obviously, the network hash is going to go up in a little bit from that. So let's just say somewhere between 1.2, 1.4 billion. Do you think that they should be valued only 2x of that for their market cap, more or less? I think no. I think they're going to be probably, at least double that, if not a little bit higher than that as well. So that's kind of where I'm thinking of it. Let's see. SH says, all Bitfarm needs to do is report good results this quarter and provide a nice outlook. Then it can pass $5 this year, not next year. Look at NVTS. It jumped from $1.62 to $98 in a month. I mean, it's possible for these things to jump that high. The only thing is you got to remember is the number of shares that Bitfarms does have out there. Let's just call it half a billion shares out there right now. If they go up to $5, you're looking at that point, being valued at $2.5 billion. The other miners would have to be definitely valued a heck of a lot more based on what they have as far as mining equipment, right? So it's possible, but I'm not, I'd love to see it though. All right, what's your selling price for the remaining Bitfarms? I'm going to hold on to it for a while, right? I don't have a lot. Like I said, I've only have about 8,000 shares left in it. I had like 20-some thousand shares at one point, and I sold a lot of that. So I have 8,000. So that's kind of like lottery money there. If it goes up, a lot longer, I can hold on to that. But if it goes up to $3, $4 or something like that, I may sell it at that point, somewhere around there, maybe. I have to see how things are going, right? What's going on with Bitcoin? What's going on with the economy? What's going on with everything else? We'll kind of evaluate as time goes on. All right. How high do see Cipher with Meta deal? Again, that depends on what's the deal. Is it for 100 megawatts? Is it for 1,000 megawatts? What's that deal? That'll determine where the price goes. If it's a real nice deal, we could definitely be above, $10 to somewhere to $15, somewhere around that range. What do you think about Canon? They've been lagging Bitcoin here since this cycle. So other miners have been outperforming it greatly. For that reason, I'm out. I don't really track it that much other than that. I do keep an eye on it just to see what's going on with it. I know that they have a small mining portion of it as well. They also make their own machines, but there's competition in that as well. You got Bitmain, you got Bitdeer making machines, you got Argo making machines, others as well. So there's stiff competition in that market already. So yeah, I don't know. It could surprise me, but it hasn't done it yet. All right. Let's see. Margin call. Sebastian, what are your price targets for BTC, Ethereum, Sol, and XRP by year end and the highs before that in case those are not the highs? Thank you. BTC, I think somewhere between 150 to 200,000. Ethereum, I could see it getting to maybe like 5,000, 6,000, possibly somewhere around there, maybe 7,000. Sol, I have no idea. I don't even track Sol. Same thing with XRP. Not into those guys at all. I'm trying to get out of the altcoins altogether. Maybe I'll hold on to Ethereum for the time being that I do have just a little bit of that. Okay, Maxim here. What do you see as the best risk-reward stock, ETF, crypto, etc. over the next 12 months? I would say going with Bitcoin, right? Just going on that. I think that's the best risk-reward. The miners are obviously more of a leverage play on it. They can definitely outperform in certain time periods, Bitcoin, but they can also way underperform in other periods. So that's so if you go into those, you can also get into like MSTR. MSTR hasn't been doing that great lately. It's been going up here a little bit. But I think best risk to reward, I think like IREN, Cleanspark, Cipher potentially as well. I will look at those. And then, yeah, I mean, you can look at some of the other ones that are way undervalued. Can they be revalued and have a much better price performance going forward, like Bitfarms and Hive as well. Those are the ones that I'll look into there. Neville says, I'm seriously not going to sell my IREN. It's a long-term hold for me. Won't they just do away with mining altogether if things continue to go well deal-wise? Well, I mean, they have a lot of megawatts that they have available to them, so they don't necessarily need to do away with it, especially if Bitcoin just continues to go up for them, right? This is going to be the same thing for them. They're going to be generating about, Bitcoin goes to 200,000. They're going to be generating between 1.2 billion and 1.4 billion in annual run rate. So that's a lot of revenue there. They could use that then to build more data centers potentially for HPCI if they wanted to, use a portion of that. So I don't know if they're going to get rid of it completely, but I mean, they do have the optionality to do that if they wanted to. All right, financial earnings got a question here. How many more treasure companies, startup, and additional captivating raising until BTC squeezes to? I mean, there's going to be a heck of a lot more, and we might see even more after that as well, right? Let's see, KB Dubs got a question. What about the Mara hedge unwinding? I think it can go to 60 at least. 60 at least. I mean, I'm not going to say it's out of the question there, but like I said, I think they need to improve their operations, their uptime, and get their costs down on it. So, I don't know. I'd be happy if it. I think. Let me just put it this way: if Bitcoin goes to 200,000, I think they can at least get to like $40, $45. I would think, and then beyond that, they can definitely go beyond that as well. See, QW says 2026 convertible notes, aka hedged holders, will unwind their 2026 position and buy back common stock. I think they might actually do another convertible note and just push that back. I don't know if they're going to buy more. Well, they could do it with the convertible notes at that point, buy back some more stock if they wanted to. We've seen that happen here already this past year. Tom Harrison's got a question. What is Meta doing with Cipher? I thought Hut 8 was supposed to get the deal with them. That was also rumored, right? That was rumored for the Louisiana site that Hut 8 is in there for. So, but nothing has been inked. Nothing has been signed for it. So I don't know if there was just something, the time frame for it or something like that. The cost. I don't know what that. If that's still on the table there. I don't know. We haven't heard anything from Hut 8 on it, just other than the rumor that we saw. So we'll see. I don't know. It's just a rumor right now. We'll see if we get any kind of correlate or what's the word I'm looking for? Corroboration from any of these companies here tomorrow. All right, SH, we strongly believe our unique and high desirable energy portfolio in Pennsylvania will drive long-term sustainable growth that is financeable. Yeah, so project-based financing, right? They could possibly do that through that. Ron, hey Seb, are you going to exit your position Bitfarms soon or long-term hold? I'm going to hold on to it for a little bit longer, see where it goes. Yeah, I'm not gonna sell it like next week, even if I get to like $1.45, which would be my break even. I want to see where it goes. I'm rooting for them to do well. Ben Gagnon has gotten a lot of flack for transitioning the company, steering in a new direction, and people aren't. They're expecting things to be done within a year. Turn the stock around, get the company, doing really well. It's going to take a little while, right, for that to happen. It never takes a year. It takes at least a couple years for it to turn around and see the fruits of that labor there. All right. Neville says 300,000 BTC end of year. I'm currently manifesting, so I have to say it every day. Okay, keep manifesting it, my friend. Neville, I lost my crown. So I'll get it back. Don't worry. All right. Any estimate on price Meta could pay for Cipher, assuming rumors are true? Well, would it be a buyout or would it be a deal for the megawatts there, right? Whether it's a joint venture there or hosting, whatever it might be, deal there. We don't know. So I think it's going to depend on what kind of a deal is it. Is it a pure buyout? I mean, if it's a pure buyout, they would have to pay at least what CoreWeave offered them. Well, they could probably do less. They could do all cash. I mean, Meta has the cash to do it. They could just write a check right here. Right, for them, spending a couple $1 billion on this was not a problem. They spent way more on apps, right? So they could do it in a heartbeat. So it'll be interesting what kind of deal is it, whether it's a buyout deal or whether it's a deal for the sites there, for hosting or whatever it might be, for infrastructure. All right. Any insight what's holding Bitcoin down? The big guys right now. I think it's just the big guys playing their games, trying to accumulate as much as they can, trying to scare people into thinking that Bitcoin's done with, and then they're going to pump it back up. Let's see. All right. Mr. X has got a question here. Why do you like Cleanspark more than IREN? I love them both equally, to be honest with you. There's pluses to Cleanspark and there's also pluses to IREN, right? Operational wise, for Bitcoin mining, they're both fantastic there. The big difference here is Cleanspark has a hodl position, right? They're going to be growing. That's kind of the big difference there in Bitcoin mining. And then IREN has the HPCI potential. So I love that about them also. They have a great portfolio of sites, 2 gigawatts of power available. So there's different things I love about each one of those guys. Why do you put Cleanspark as your number 1 and IREN as your number 2? I have a little bit more conviction in Bitcoin price going up than I do in IREN getting a potential deal. That's the main reason why. But I could be wrong on the deal part, right? We've been talking about these guys, IREN, Cipher, Hut 8, Riot, getting a great deal with a hyperscaler for the past year, and still nothing has happened here. We keep hearing all these stories about how there's such a huge demand for this HPCI, but yet it's not materializing into any kind of deals with these guys. So it's like, what's going on there? And then we're seeing also stories where Google's, getting 3 gigawatts of power for 20 years from site up in Pennsylvania or sites in Pennsylvania as well. You see Microsoft restarting 3 Mile Island for like 2-3 gigawatts, whatever that one is capable of producing for a number of years as well. So, you're seeing the hyperscalers going in that direction, and yet everyone here is looking for the miners to get a deal. So maybe they will eventually get a deal. I'm hoping that they do, because I hold a lot of IREN shares as well. So I want them to get a deal. But I'm a little, I wouldn't say concerned. I'm a little cautious, I guess you could say. All right. Ernie's got a question here. Why do you think shorts are holding strong in Wolf? Let me take a look at the shorts number that I have, because I don't remember. I may not even have that in here, because I don't know if I'm tracking Wolf anymore. What is the short number on Wolf there? Let me see the shorts that I have. I don't have Wolf, because I took out Wolf when they stopped providing monthly updates here. So I don't know how much shorts there are in them. I know that BitDeer right now, as of last time checking, here you guys can see this on the screen, probably would help. But I have them at about 26.7% shorted. This is as of the end of June. We got Marathon at 26, Cleanspark at 25. I'm not sure where Wolf is at as far as percentage-wise on that one. So I do not know, unfortunately. I probably should know that, but I don't know. Okay, let's see. All right. Getting close to catching up with the other questions here. Let's see. Roger's got a question here. BTC has outperformed Cleanspark since bear market bottom, even if measuring as year to date. BTC is 26% and Cleanspark is 35%. Do you feel it's worth the risk to invest in miners for extra 1.35 multiple? Well, depending when you get into them, right? That's the whole big thing. I own Bitcoin and I own also Cleanspark. Cleanspark, I'm up by like 140% right now from where we were. I was up much higher when it was at $24, obviously. I think we'll get there eventually. Let me see if I got the stock performance here on these guys here. All right, here we go. So this is as of today here, as of Trump tariffs, right? So this, to me, is promising looking. We got IREN being up 175%, Cipher up 161% from the Trump tariffs, which were announced on 4/2, right? Riot's up 78 almost percent, Hut 8, almost 60% here, Cleanspark 60% here, Core up 60, Marathon up 60, BitDeer up 54, Hive even up 55, Bitfarms now up 53%, and yet Bitcoin's only up 26% from then, right? So these guys are at least doing 2x more or less. Others are doing a heck of a lot better, but at least the miners in general are doing at least a 2x. That to me looks promising here. If this continues going forward, Bitcoin doubles at least, right? We might be able to see these guys do even better than that. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, see how this progresses going forward. But right now, it looks like that might be the trend that we've been waiting for this past 2 years to happen. It's finally happening maybe now. So that's why I look at different time frames to see what's going on with it all. But yeah, you're right. If we look at the bottom of when we bottomed out, let me see here. Price from 1/3/2023, which was basically the bottom of the end of December of 2022 and January 2023. We see Bitcoin and Cleanspark pretty much on par right now, Right? Bitcoin's up 527%, Cleanspark up 538. IREN's kicking butt on everybody here, up 1,462%. So, and then if the miners can do a double on top of what Bitcoin does here in the next 6 months, that's going to be awesome there. They're going to outperform. So that's kind of why I'm in them for that. And we'll see if it plays out that way. It did last cycle. We'll see if it does it again this cycle. Excuse me. I gotta take a sip of my water here. We've been going on an hour now, and my throat's starting to get dry a little bit. All right, let's see what else we have as far as questions, and we'll call it a day. All right, Ron's got a question here. What are your thoughts on the Genius Act? I think it's a good thing. Clarity is there as well. Those are all good things. It just provides more more clarity into the system here. We always wanted more, I would say more regulation, but I think we needed regulations just to provide that clarity that we needed. And that all does that there. So that's great, but we still need more, I think. Gary, I'm just reusing standard accounting principles. Just strange for Bitfarms to announce they are stopping expansion plans and only going HPCI route if mining was profitable for them. Well, they're not the only ones, right? We saw Riot do the same thing. We saw IREN doing the same thing right now, and IREN is profitable in Bitcoin mining. But at certain points, when Bitcoin was below 100,000, you could say that yes, HPCI had the potential to be much more profitable than Bitcoin mining. But at a certain point, I believe that when Bitcoin gets to, I don't know whether it's going to be, I think it's right around right now, where it's kind of on par, potentially depending on the hardware that you have for Bitcoin mining, and what kind of hardware you have for HPCI. But at a certain point, Bitcoin going up to 180,000, 200,000, maybe even beyond that, at that point, you're going to see a much better return on your investment in Bitcoin mining than you would in HPCI. The problem with HPC that I see, a potential problem, is it's going to be first mover advantage right now. So if you're able to get these Blackwell chips in and get them set up quickly, get them to the customer's hands, yes, you can probably make quite a bit of buck there. But eventually, as more and more players get into the space and you have more competition, those pricing is going to come down. We've seen that already happening with like the H100s, H200s as well. We've heard CEOs talk about in the beginning, they're looking at 2 years for an ROI on those things. Even within like 3 to 6 months, they were talking about, now it's looking like more like 2.5 years to 3 years for an ROI on those things, right? So as you get more and more competition into any space, pricing comes down, and at that point, you're looking at possibly even longer ROI timeframes, which we don't want to see that. With the miners in general, depending on when you buy them in, when you buy the miners, you're looking on average between like a year to a year and a half of ROI on those things. And then after that, you're making money. So it's just different economics on those things. The other thing is earnings from HPCI are much more predictable than what you have with Bitcoin here. But I think as time progresses and we get more and more adoption in Bitcoin, that price, those price spikes are going to get much, much less volatile, right? And there's going to be a little bit more consistency in the revenues that we're seeing here from the miners. Because we may not see that 80% drawdown in Bitcoin price, which then hammers the miners down where they're not making, they're barely squeaking by. But if Bitcoin stays elevated at these prices, they can go on for much, much longer than just a couple quarters of being profitable. So that's the reason why there. Ron, do you think Bitfarms corporate has already started buying back since the price is low and current price appreciation? I heard somebody comment on it, I think it was on X today or even in my Discord server, that they saw some action that looked kind of promising that they thought maybe it was Bitfarms buying back, but I'm not sure. But I think that doesn't start until the 26th on that one. So I don't think that would be the case then, because I think they stated here, when is the time frame going to be? Starting July 28th. Yeah, so that wouldn't be the play on it here. You can see it here. It is right there, July. Period starting July 28th, 2025 and ending July 27th. So I don't think that's going to be the case there. All right. Let's see. Ernie's got a question here. How many treasury companies start up and capital raise to buy more Bitcoin until Bitcoin squeezes to I mean, I think it's going to be a lot. We're seeing more and more of that stuff happening here as each day progresses. Dom's got a question. Just a comment I saw Elizabeth Warren on CNBC Business Channel. What a negative aura she has. Yeah. I mean, why has CORZ shares being bought? Why has CORZ shares being bought? Not sure I understand the question there. Why has CORZ shares being bought? I'm not sure I understand that question there. Ron's asking, what percentage of your portfolio is in Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners? All right, so I'm pretty much all in on Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners, and I have a little bit of altcoins there as well, like Doge, Ethereum. I think I have some, what's the other one that I have in there? I have it written down. I don't track them that much. I track Bitcoin every day, but the other ones I track every once in a while. The percentage of it right now, based on the appreciation that we've seen here in IREN and Cleanspark, at least in the last couple of weeks, and Bitfarms now too, it is right now close to being 50-50. So 50% in crypto, 50% in miners, basically. So Melon, where do you think BTC will be end of year at the rate we're going? I think somewhere between 150 to 200,000. I think somewhere around there. My original estimate before we had all this adoption happening here with Bitcoin this past year was 180,000 was going to be the top in Bitcoin. That was my original estimate. For this cycle, if we had a repeat of the prior cycles where we have a blow off top and then we go back down 70, 80% on Bitcoin. That's kind of where I was thinking. But now that we're heading into maybe an extended cycle, I'm thinking somewhere between 150 to 200,000 this year, and then we're going to progress going forward there. So, I mean, we started the year out roughly at around 100,000, right? So if we get to 200,000, it'd be just 100% gains on it. I think that's doable. All right, Michael says CORZ being bought. What are my thoughts on that? I mean, it's an all-stock deal, so it's not that advantageous to the shareholders there, but it's advantageous to the insiders, the corporate. All right, Roger, I think everyone in this room is sleeping on MicroStrategy. It will blow everything out of the water when it starts to run again. And it might, right? MicroStrategy has done that where it front runs Bitcoin like crazy, gets overextended or overhyped, and then it corrects. We saw that last year in November, right? Got to $540 or something like that, went back down to like 200 some odd dollars, right? It gets a little too excited sometimes, and it does pull back. So you might be right. It might be just loading up for a nice run back up here. We shall see. Martin Call's got a question here. Seb, the question on CORZ may be this. Why has the price of CORZ dropped so much since the CORZ? Okay. That, again, so we talked about it when it did happen. The speculation there is, one, the insiders in CoreWeave have a lockup period. That lockup period is ending in September. So that's going to possibly bring the stock price down as they offload their shares, right, to make their millions of dollars, potentially billions of dollars, whatever it's going to be. So that's going to be price decline on it that way. They're also thinking there's going to be some dilution because they're going to have to possibly buy more sites and things like that in order for them to grow to the demand that they need. So that could obviously see the price come down because of that. And I think the futures were pricing in $114, $115 October, November timeframe. So that's why. So it just corrected on that reasoning on that one. All right, Steve. Dynamite Uber question. I really think the MicroStrategy preferred stock will mute the MicroStrategy price action. Your thoughts? Yeah, I don't know. I don't play with MicroStrategy, and that is not my area of expertise. So I really don't know if one's going to do better than the other one. Right? They have the other ones as well. That the new one that just came out. When did it come out? Yesterday, I think it was. The one that they're going to be offering $500 million for. So I don't know. I think there's just so many more ways that you can get into it. Maybe they're kind of diluting themselves in the price appreciation that way as well. I don't know. Maybe that could be a possibility there. All right. Okay. I think I've covered all your guys' questions here. That was fun. That was a lot of questions, too. A lot of good questions, too. Made me think. Love being able to think. You guys make me think, so that's good. All right. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see if Cipher gets a deal with Meta or if we get any kind of announcement. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the stock does. I mean, if the stock continues to go up, the possibilities also increase on that. But then again, we would think that IREN stock going up the way it has the last couple of weeks, that they would have also something, but we haven't seen anything on that. So we'll see. All right. Sadie, you're always very, very welcome. Thank you so much for coming in here like everyone else. Thank you for spending the time with me. Really appreciate you guys. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great hump day tomorrow, Wednesday, middle of the week. We'll see where we go from there. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.